The hunger in the shadows. The colony supply station was always busy. Humans and aliens walked in and out carrying boxes, trading goods, shouting prices. But in one dark corner, where the bright lights did not reach, a pair of glowing eyes watched. The crowd. They belonged to a girl, thin, dirty, and shaking from hunger. She was not human. Her skin had a faint silver tone and her eyes were large, too large for her small face. No one paid attention to her. She was like a shadow on the wall. People passed by, laughing, talking, bargaining. But the girl only stared at one thing, food. Every time someone carried bread or meat, her eyes followed it like a hunter. Jaren, a young human engineer, noticed her. He was not rich. He worked long hours fixing machines in the colony dockyards. But unlike others, he could not ignore those desperate eyes. For 2 days he had seen her there, always hiding, always staring, but never stepping forward. That night, after finishing his shift, Jaren carried a small package of food, bread and dried meat. He walked toward the shadows where the girl crouched. She flinched as he approached, ready to run like a wild animal. "It's okay," Jaren said softly, raising his hand to show he had no weapon. "I'm not here to hurt you." The girl's lips trembled. She whispered something, but he could not hear. Her voice was too soft. Jaren bent down slowly, placed the food on the ground, and stepped back. "It's for you," he said. For a moment, she did not move. Her eyes darted from him to the food, suspicious, afraid. But hunger was stronger than fear. She reached out with trembling hands, snatched the bread, and pulled it close to her chest like treasure. She ate fast, almost choking, as if someone might take it away. Jaren stayed silent, watching. There was something heartbreaking about the way she devoured every crumb, eyes wide open, tears running down her face. When the bread was gone, she looked at him again. For the first time, their eyes met. Hers were not just hungry. They were full of questions. "Why?" she whispered. Her voice was weak, raspy. "Why give me food?" Jaren hesitated. The truth was simple, but he knew it might sound strange to her. "Because you needed it," he said. "Because you looked hungry." The girl blinked as if she could not understand his answer. "Humans don't share," she said slowly. "Humans take." Jaren frowned. He wanted to argue, but then he realized this was what she had been taught. Maybe her people hated humans. Maybe she had grown up hearing stories of cruelty. "What's your name?" he asked gently. She hugged her knees and shook her head. "No name," she whispered. "Not for you." Her words cut deeper than he expected. It was not just fear. It was rejection, the kind that comes from years of being told humans were enemies. Still, Jaren did not walk away. "All right," he said softly. "You don't have to tell me, but if you're here tomorrow, I'll bring more food." The girl's eyes widened again. This time not in hunger, but in shock, as if the idea of someone helping her twice was impossible. "Why?" she asked again. Jaren stood, adjusted his work jacket, and gave a small smile. "Because no one should starve in the shadows." He turned and walked away, leaving her with the empty package. That night, as she licked the last crumbs from her fingers, the alien girl whispered to herself, "No one has ever done this." She pressed her forehead against the cold wall, holding back tears she did not understand. Her people had told her humans were monsters, but this one had given her bread. The colony lights flickered in the distance. Patrol guards walked by, scanning the area, but none noticed the small figure curled in the shadows. Only one thought echoed in her mind, soft and haunting. What if they were wrong about humans? For Jaren, the night passed with uneasy thoughts. He tried to sleep, but the image of the girl's hollow eyes would not leave him. Something inside told him this was not the last time he would see her, and he was right. Because by giving food to one starving alien, he had stepped into something far larger than himself, something that would change his life forever. The whispered reply. The next evening, Jaren returned to the supply station. He carried another package, this time with a small flask of water, some fruit, and a piece of bread. His eyes searched the corner where he had seen her before. She was there. The alien girl sat curled against the wall, thin arms wrapped around her knees, watching the crowd with the same hungry eyes. But this time, when Jaren approached, she did not run. She froze, tense, but she stayed. Jaren placed the food on the ground again and stepped back. "It's for you," he said gently. The girl hesitated. Then slowly she reached for the flask of water first. She unscrewed the cap with shaking hands and drank deeply, drops spilling down her chin. When she finished, she pressed the flask to her forehead and closed her eyes. Jaren realized something. It wasn't just food she lacked, it was trust. "You don't have to be afraid," he said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you." Her eyes opened, sharp and suspicious. She held the bread tightly and whispered, "Why?" Jaren tilted his head. "Why what?" "Why, give me food again?" she asked. Her voice cracked as if the words were heavy. "One time is accident. 2 times is something else." Jaren looked at her. He could have given 100 reasons, kindness, pity, guilt, but he said the only truth he felt. "Because I don't want to see you starve." The girl blinked, silent. Then, for the first time, she whispered something more than one word. "My people told me humans are cruel," she said. "They said you take, you burn, you destroy, but..." She looked at the bread in her hands. "You gave." Her tone was almost accusing, like his action had broken some unspoken rule in her world. "What's your name?" Jaren asked again gently. The girl hesitated. Her lips moved, struggling between fear and need. Finally, in a voice so faint he almost missed it, she said, "Solari." Jaren smiled. "Solari," he repeated softly. "That's a good name." The girl flinched at the sound of her own name in a human's mouth, but she did not correct him. "Why? Are you here alone, Solari?" Jaren asked carefully. Her eyes darkened. She pulled her knees closer. "My family left me." "Left you?" Jaren echoed. "Why?" Her reply was a whisper, but it cut deep. "Because I spoke to a human. Once they called me shame." Jaren's chest tightened. He wanted to reach out, but he knew she would pull away. Instead, he said, "Then they were wrong. Speaking isn't shame, it's strength." Solari stared at him, confused. No one had ever said such words to her. A silence stretched between them, filled with the noise of the market around. But in that silence, something shifted. She no longer looked at him like an enemy. She looked at him like a puzzle she wanted to solve. "Why you?" she whispered suddenly. "What do you mean?" Jaren asked. She leaned closer, her eyes sharp and almost glowing in the dim light. "Why do you help me? When every other human walks past, why do you see me?" Her words carried weight, like she demanded an answer to a riddle he himself did not understand. Jaren breathed out slowly. "Because maybe I know what it feels like to be invisible." The girl's eyes widened. She had not expected that. For a long time she stared at him, bread forgotten in her hands. Then slowly she whispered, "You are not like the others." Jaren gave a small smile. "Maybe you're not like the others either." She tilted her head, unsure if that was insult or kindness. But something in her chest stirred, something she had buried long ago. Hope. At that moment, the sound of heavy boots echoed near the supply station. 2 alien guards walked past, scanning the area with glowing scanners. Solari stiffened, pulling deeper into the shadows. "Don't let them see me," she whispered urgently. "If they find me here, they'll take me away, or worse." Jaren's jaw tightened. He positioned himself casually between the guard's line of sight and Solari's hiding place. When the guards looked his way, he gave a nod, pretending to check his bag. After a few tense moments, the guards moved on. Solari's breath shook. She whispered again, but this time it was different. Softer, almost trembling with emotion. You protected me. Jaren turned back to her. Of course I did. She looked down at the bread, then back at him. For the first time, she did not whisper in fear. She whispered something else, something that made Jaren's heart beat faster. You gave me food, and now you risked yourself. Why? What do you want from me? Jaren shook his head. Nothing. Just stay alive. Her eyes searched his face as if trying to find the lie. But she found none. Her voice dropped into a whisper again, but this one carried a strange weight, a promise she herself did not fully understand. Then, my life has changed. Jaren froze at her words. He knew she meant them. And he also knew this was only the beginning. Secrets behind her eyes, the days passed, and every evening Jaren brought food to the same corner of the supply station. Bread, fruit, sometimes a bit of warm soup in a container. Each time Solari waited in the shadows, eyes alert, hands trembling until the food was safely in her grasp. She never begged. She never asked. She only whispered thanks with her eyes. But little by little, the distance between them grew smaller. At first, she sat several steps away while she ate. Then she dared to sit a little closer where she could see his face more clearly. One evening, she even asked him a question. "What is your world like?" she whispered. Jaren blinked, surprised. "Earth?" She nodded, chewing slowly on a piece of fruit. "It's green," Jaren said. "Forests, rivers, oceans, a sky that changes colors. It can be harsh sometimes, but it's also beautiful." Solari tilted her head. Her large silver eyes reflected the dim light. "We were told Earth is a grave, that nothing grows there." Jaren laughed softly. "Then they told you lies." For the first time, a tiny smile touched her lips, hesitant, fragile, but real. That night, she showed him something in return. From beneath her ragged clothes, she pulled out a folded piece of thin fabric. On it, crude drawings covered the surface, stars, symbols, and strange patterns. "These are mine," Solari whispered. "I draw the skies I dream of." Jaren studied the cloth carefully. Many symbols were unfamiliar, but one froze him in place. In the middle of the drawings, rough and imperfect, was something that looked almost exactly like Earth's flag. His breath caught. "Where did you see this?" Solari flinched at his tone, pulling the fabric close as if he might take it away. It came in visions. I don't know why. Since I was small, I dreamed of it. My people told me never to draw it again. They said it was cursed, but I couldn't stop." Her voice broke on the last words, a whisper filled with shame. Jaren's pulse quickened. If her people feared these symbols, why would she risk keeping them? And why did she dream of Earth, a planet she had never seen? "Solari," Jaren said softly, "you're not cursed. These drawings, they mean something. Maybe they're a part of you." Her eyes glistened. "Part of me no one wants." A silence fell between them. Solari's thin fingers clutched the fabric tighter, as if it was the only piece of her identity she still owned. Jaren could see it clearly now, the strength hidden inside her, the secret that had cost her everything. Before he could speak again, the sound of heavy boots echoed nearby. 2 alien guards appeared at the far end of the street, their scanners glowing faintly. Solari stiffened, panic flooding her eyes. "They look for me," she whispered. "If they find me here with you, they will kill you." Jaren's jaw tightened. "Then they won't find us." He grabbed her arm, gently but firmly, and pulled her deeper into the shadows. They crouched behind a stack of old crates, so Close, he could feel her trembling. The guard's footsteps grew louder. Solari buried her face against her knees, her breath quick and uneven. Jaren pressed a finger to his lips, urging silence. The guards paused only a few feet away. One of them scanned the area while the other muttered something in their harsh language. Jaren's heart pounded so loudly he feared they would hear it. Finally, the guards moved on, their voices fading into the distance. Solari let out a shaky breath. Her body sagged against the crates, weak with relief. But when she lifted her head, her eyes locked on Jaren's. "You should not help me," she whispered fiercely. "It will bring you death." Jaren met her gaze without fear. "Maybe, but I can't stand by and watch you suffer." Her lips parted, stunned by his words. For so long she had believed humans were selfish, cruel, yet this one stood beside her even when it risked his own life. Slowly she whispered, "You are different." Jaren gave a small nod. "Maybe we both are." Solari turned away, but not before he saw something flicker in her expression. Not just fear, not just hunger. Something deeper, something she had buried under years of pain. Hope. But with hope came danger. That night, as she curled into her hiding place, clutching her cloth of stars, Solari whispered to herself, "Why him? Why now? Why do his eyes feel like they see everything?" And far away in the halls of her people's ruling council, whispers spread of a traitor child who had been seen near humans. Guards were ordered to search harder, to bring her back at any cost. Solari did not know it yet, but the secret behind, her eyes, the dream she carried, the forbidden symbols she drew, would soon place both her and Jaren in the center of something far larger than food or kindness, something that could shake the galaxy. The hidden place. The next night, Jaren arrived, at the supply station earlier than usual. He half expected Solari to be gone, taken by guards or forced deeper into hiding. But when he reached the corner of shadows, she was waiting. Her silver eyes caught the light when she saw him, and for the first time, she did not flinch. Instead, she stood slowly and stepped toward him. "You came?" she whispered. "Of course," Jaren replied, handing her a small bundle of food. "I said I would." Solari held the food but did not eat right away. She looked at him, her face tense. "It is not safe here anymore. Too many guards. They search harder each night." Jaren frowned. "Then where do you go when you're not here?" She hesitated, biting her lip as if struggling with the decision. Finally, she whispered, "I can show you, but you must promise not to tell anyone." "I promise," Jaren said without hesitation. Solari studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Follow me." She led him through narrow alleys, slipping past the brighter parts of the colony where merchants shouted and workers hurried home. The deeper they went, the quieter it became. Broken walls, rusted gates, and empty storage rooms marked this forgotten part of the station. Finally, she stopped before a pile of old crates stacked against a wall. With a quick movement, she pushed one aside, revealing a narrow gap. She slid inside and motioned for Jaren to follow. He hesitated, glancing around. No one was watching. With a quiet breath, he crouched and entered. Inside was a small hidden room, dimly lit by a broken lantern that flickered weak light. The floor was cold metal, covered with scraps of cloth. In one corner, a pile of strange drawings lay scattered. Symbols, stars, maps she had made with bits of charcoal and old paper. "This is where I live," Solari whispered. "No one comes here. No one knows." Jaren looked around. The room was empty, sad, but it was hers. A secret world built out of nothing. "You've been here all this time?" he asked softly. She nodded. "Since my family left me. Since I became nothing." Jaren's chest tightened. "You're not nothing, Solari." Her eyes flickered to him, searching for mockery, but his face was serious, kind. She looked away quickly, as if afraid to believe him. She bent down and picked up one of her drawings. It showed a sky full of stars with a strange pattern that curved like a spiral. I dream of this place, she whispered. It calls to me in sleep, I don't know why, but every time I draw it I feel less alone. Jaren studied the drawing. The spiral of stars looked familiar, almost like the star maps he had seen in human charts. But this one had details he didn't recognize. Solari, he said carefully. These aren't just dreams. These are maps. Her eyes widened, fear flashing across her face. Don't say that. If anyone hears, they will call me cursed again. They will take me away. Why? Jaren pressed. Why would they fear maps? She shook her head. Because they say humans once used maps like these to conquer. They say humans will rise again if such things are remembered. Jaren felt a chill. She had no reason to invent this. What if her people truly did fear the past of humanity? What if these drawings were forbidden because they revealed truths the galaxy wanted buried? As she clutched the paper, Solari whispered, Why do you stay, Jaren? You should leave. If they find me with you, they will call you traitor. Jaren sat on the floor beside her. Maybe I don't care what they call me. Maybe I care more about making sure you're safe. Her lips parted slightly, surprise flickering in her eyes. She turned her head quickly, hiding the heat in her cheeks. No one had ever said such words to her. But before the moment could soften, a sudden sound made them freeze. Footsteps. Outside the hidden room, heavy boots echoed on the metal floor. Voices muttered in a language Jaren didn't understand. Solari's breath caught. She gripped Jaren's sleeve tightly, eyes wide with terror. The footsteps stopped right outside the crates. Jaren held his breath, every muscle tense. Then, bang. One of the crates shifted as if someone outside had pushed against it. Dust rained down. Solari's hand shook violently. She leaned close, whispering so softly it was barely sound. If they find us, they will take me, and they will kill you. Jaren's jaw clenched. He whispered back, steady and calm. Then we won't let them find us. Another bang shook the crate. The voices outside grew sharper, angrier. Solari pressed her forehead against Jaren's arm, whispering words like a prayer. He wrapped his arm around her shoulder, silent, steady. For a long moment, the danger pressed on them like a weight. Then, slowly, the footsteps moved away. The voices faded into the distance. The crate stilled. Solari's body sagged with relief. Tears slipped down her cheeks as she whispered, I cannot hide much longer. Jaren looked at her, his decision hardening inside. Then we'll find another way, together. Solari lifted her head, eyes wide. Something in his voice felt unbreakable, like steel. For the first time, she believed it. In that hidden place of shadows and drawings, a fragile trust had begun to grow, strong enough to challenge the fear of an entire galaxy. But neither of them knew. The search outside was far from over. The next time the guards came, they might not leave. The dangerous choice. The next morning, Jaren could not focus on his work. Every sound of machinery in the dockyards reminded him of boots outside the hidden room. Every spark from his tools reminded him of Solari's trembling hands gripping his sleeve. By evening, he returned to her hiding place. She was sitting cross-legged on the floor, the dim lantern throwing shadows across her thin face. She looked up quickly when he entered, fear flashing in her eyes before softening when she saw it was him. You came back, she whispered. Of course, Jaren said. I told you I would. Solari hugged her knees. It is not safe anymore. They know I hide somewhere near the station. Soon they will find me. Jaren crouched beside her. Then you can't stay here. We'll find another place. Her eyes widened. We? Yes, he said firmly. You're not alone anymore. For a long moment, Solari just stared at him. Then she shook her head quickly. If they catch you with me, you will die. You must leave me before it is too late. Jaren leaned closer, his voice steady. I won't leave you, even if it costs me. Her lips trembled. She turned her face away, hiding the storm of emotions his words stirred inside her. That night, they heard voices again. Closer, this time. Guards searched the abandoned district, shouting orders, kicking open old storage rooms. The sound of metal crashing echoed like thunder. Solari clutched her drawings to her chest, panic in her eyes. "They are hunting harder," she whispered. "They know I'm near." Jaren placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we move now." She looked at him, shocked. "Move? Where?" "To my quarters," he said. "It's small but safe enough for now. I can hide you there." Her breath caught. "You would risk that?" "They will check humans' rooms first. Then we'll make sure they don't find you," Jaren said. Solari's hands shook. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Why? Why go so far for me?" Jaren looked into her silver eyes. "Because you deserve more than shadows. And because—" He paused, his words heavy but true. "Because when you whispered your name, Celery, my life changed." Her eyes widened. For a moment, she could not breathe. The way he said it, it wasn't pity. It was truth. The search outside grew louder. Boots hammered on metal. Shouts echoed closer. Solari shook her head quickly. "No, Jaren. If you take me to your room, you will be branded traitor. Your people will turn against you, mine already have. You will lose everything." Jaren's jaw tightened. "Maybe. But I'd rather lose everything than lose you to them." Her chest rose and fell sharply, her heart racing. For so long she had been told no one would ever stand with her. And now, this human risked all for her safety. "You are mad," she whispered. "Maybe." Jaren replied with a faint smile. "But it's the only choice I can live with." Solari's eyes glistened. For the first time, she didn't argue. Instead, she whispered words that seemed to seal her fate. "Then I follow you." They waited until the patrol moved further down the street. Then Jaren pushed aside the crates and led Solari out. She kept close to him, her small frame pressed into the shadows. Every corner felt dangerous. Every voice felt like a trap. But together they moved quietly through the alleys until they reached the dockyard housing. Jaren unlocked his small room, pulled her inside and shut the door. It was not much, just a bunk, a table, and shelves of tools. But compared to the cold, hidden place, it felt like a palace. Solari touched the wall slowly, her eyes wide. "This is warm." Jaren gave a small laugh. "It's nothing fancy, but it's safe for now." Solari sat on the edge of the bunk, clutching her drawings to her chest. She whispered, "You risked everything for me. I don't understand." "Oh, you don't have to," Jaren said. "Just know that you're not alone anymore." But the safety was fragile. Outside, voices still echoed. Rumors spread through the colony of a strange alien girl seen with a human. Some said she was cursed. Others whispered she carried secrets her people wanted buried. Solari lowered her eyes. "Jaren, if they take me, they will not only kill me, they will take what I carry inside. My dreams, my maps, my truth. And if they find out you helped me, they will destroy you too." Jaren sat beside her. "Then we make a choice now. Do we run, or do we fight?" Her hands trembled. "If we run, the whole colony will hunt us. If we fight, we will be crushed." He looked at her firmly. "Then we find another way. But whatever comes, we face it together." Solari's throat tightened. She looked at him, and for the first time, she whispered words she never thought she would say. "My reply is this: I will not leave you." Jaren's heart pounded. He knew her words were more than a promise. They were a bond that had just changed both their lives forever. The pursuit, the days that followed, were no longer quiet. Jaren kept Solari hidden in his small quarters, bringing food at odd hours so no one would notice. He worked during the day, but his thoughts never left her. Every knock on the door, every echo in the hallway made his heart jump. Solari barely left the bunk. She kept her drawings close, whispering to herself at night, afraid the guards would burst in at any moment. But each time Jaren returned, her eyes softened. His presence gave her courage she did not know she had. Still, danger was growing. Whispers spread in the colony. A human is hiding something. A cursed girl has been seen. Patrols doubled. Guards searched doors, shining lights into rooms. On the fourth night, there was a knock. Loud, sharp, commanding. Solari froze, clutching Jaren's sleeve. Her breath shook. Jaren's heart thundered, but he forced calm into his voice. "Stay quiet, don't move." He opened the door a crack. 2 alien guards stood outside, their armor gleaming, their scanners humming with blue light. "We are searching. All quarters," one guard barked. "There are reports of a fugitive child. You will let us inside." Jaren's mind raced. If they entered, they would find her. "Of course," he said smoothly, stepping aside. "But I'm only a mechanic, you won't find much here." The guards pushed past him, their scanners sweeping across the room. Solari crouched silently inside the small storage closet, holding her breath until her lungs burned. The scanner beeped, once too close. Jaren coughed loudly, dropping a tool on the floor. The sound startled the guards, pulling their attention. "Clumsy humans," one muttered. "Always making noise." After a long moment, they left. The door slammed behind them. Solari stumbled out of the closet, her whole body trembling. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "They almost found me." Jaren gripped her shoulders. "But they didn't. You're safe. For now." That night, Solari finally confessed what she had kept hidden. "My people call me cursed because of my dreams," she whispered. "But the truth is, they are not just dreams. I see places no one else sees. I see. Your Earth." Jaren stared at her. "Earth? You've never been there." "I know," she said, voice trembling. "But in my mind, I walk its rivers. I feel its storms. I see its sky change colors. And sometimes, I see fire, great battles, ships burning, and always humans rising again." Jaren's blood ran cold. Her visions sounded like fragments of history buried or rewritten. "Solari, do you realize what this means?" he asked. Her eyes darkened. "Yes. It means they will never let me live. Because if my dreams are true, then their lies will be broken." Jaren took her hand gently. "Then we run before they come again." The next morning, the colony stirred with chaos. Posters were spread across walls, Solari's face drawn in harsh lines, marked with the word traitor. Patrol ships circled above. Checkpoints blocked the streets. Every corner whispered of the cursed girl who carried forbidden knowledge. Solari and Jaren moved carefully through the alleys, cloaks covering their faces. But it didn't take long before someone recognized them. "There," a voice shouted. "The human and the girl." Guards surged forward, weapons ready. "Run!" Jaren shouted. They sprinted through the crowded streets, pushing past workers and traders. Shouts followed them, boots pounding close behind. Solari's breath came in sharp gasps, but she kept pace with him. For the first time, she was not running away alone. She was running with someone. They darted into a storage yard, weaving between crates. Blaster fire cracked against the metal walls. Sparks rained down. Solari cried out, stumbling, but Jaren pulled her up. "Keep moving." At the far end of the yard, a small freighter sat abandoned, its engines offline. Jaren's eyes locked on it. "That's our way out," he said. Solari shook her head. "We'll never make it." "Yes, we will," Jaren said firmly. "Together." The chase grew desperate. Guards closed in from every side. Solari clutched her cloth of drawings to her chest, whispering prayers under her breath. "Why me?" she gasped. "Why did you choose me?" Jaren glanced at her even as they ran. "Because when I first saw you, hungry and alone, I knew you deserved more. And because your reply, those words, you said my life changed. You were right." Her heart ached at his words, even as fear drove her legs forward. Blaster fire tore across the yard, striking a crate. The explosion knocked them to the ground. Dust filled the air. Solari coughed, her voice breaking. "If they catch us, and promise me you won't let them take me alive." Jaren gripped her hand fiercely. "Don't say that. They won't catch us. Not while I'm breathing." At last, they reached the freighter. Jaren forced the hatch open, shoving Solari inside. He scrambled into the cockpit, hands flying across the controls. The engines coughed, sputtered, then roared to life. Outside, guards swarmed closer, weapons raised. Solari gripped the seat, her eyes wide with fear, but also something else. Trust. The freighter lifted off. Jaren shouted over the roar, "Hold on!" The ship blasted into the sky, breaking through the blockade of patrols. Blaster fire lit up the night, but the freighter surged forward, engines screaming. Solari pressed her, forehead against the window, watching the colony shrink below. Tears ran down her cheeks, but this time they were not just fear. "They will never forgive us," she whispered. Jaren glanced at her. "Then let them chase us, because now, we choose our own path." And with that, the pursuit began. Not just through the colony, but across the stars, a new beginning. The freighter rattled as it broke through the colony's upper atmosphere. The engines strained, alarms flashed, but the ship held steady. Inside, Solari gripped her cloth of drawings tightly, her silver eyes reflecting the glow of distant stars. Jaren pushed the controls forward, jaw tight, eyes fixed ahead. "We're clear," he said finally, his voice heavy with relief. "They can't reach us now, not with this ship in open space." Solari slumped back in her seat, her hands shaking. "We escaped," she whispered, almost in disbelief. "I never thought I would see the stars again, not as a free soul." Jaren glanced at her, the corners of his mouth lifting. "You're free now, Solari. No one owns you." Her chest tightened at his words. For years she had been treated as nothing, cursed, unwanted, abandoned. And now this human had risked everything to pull her from the shadows. But freedom was not without cost. Through the ship's comms, a signal cut through the static. Harsh alien voices barked across the channel. "The traitor child and the human mechanic have fled. By order of the Council, they are declared enemies of the galaxy. Capture alive if possible. Kill if not." Solari's face drained of color. "They've marked us both," she whispered. Jaren's eyes hardened. "Then let them come. We'll survive." The ship drifted into the silence of space. For a long while, neither spoke. Solari traced her fingers over her drawings, spreading them out on the console. "The spiral stars, the strange maps, the symbol of Earth," she whispered, almost to herself. "All my life I thought these drawings were my curse, but maybe they were my guide." Jaren studied them carefully. The shapes and patterns were familiar to him, though incomplete. "Solari, these aren't just dreams, they're coordinates. You've been carrying a star map inside your mind." Her eyes widened. "Coordinates? To where?" Jaren pointed at one spiral cluster. "Here, this is near the old human colonies, places lost during the wars. If this is right, then you've been dreaming of our forgotten worlds." Solari's breath caught. "That means the galaxy lied. Humans are not broken. Your worlds are not gone." Jaren nodded slowly. "And maybe your reply to me wasn't just about food. Maybe it's about destiny." Silence filled the cockpit. Then Solari whispered, "Jaren, I will never forget that night when you gave me bread. I was nothing. I was ready to disappear. But you gave me more than food. You gave me life." Her voice trembled as she looked into his eyes. "From that moment, I belong to you, not as property, not as shame, but as someone who chose you." Jaren's chest tightened. He reached across the console, taking her hand gently. "And I chose you, Solari. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to." For the first time, she smiled. A real smile. Fragile, but filled with light. But their moment was broken by a sudden alarm. The ship's sensors blared. 2 patrol craft had locked onto them, their engines burning bright against the void. Solari's eyes widened. "They're already here!" Jaren gritted his teeth. "They won't stop." The patrol ships opened fire, red blasts slicing through the black sky. The freighter shook violently, sparks flying from the control panels. Jaren pulled the ship into a sharp dive, weaving between asteroid fragments. "Hold on," he shouted. Solari clung to her seat, her cloth of drawings fluttering to the floor. Her heart pounded, but this time she did not feel hopeless. She felt alive. The freighter twisted, engines screaming, as Jaren forced it into a narrow asteroid field. The patrol ships followed, but their larger size slowed them down. One clipped a rock, exploding in a burst of fire. Solari gasped, eyes wide. You outflew them." "Not yet," Jaren said, sweat on his brow. "One's still on us." The second patrol ship pressed forward, guns glowing. Solari's gaze fell on her drawings scattered across the floor. She snatched one up, pointing at the spiral cluster. "Here, fly here. The path through the stars, it's in my dream. If we follow it, they won't catch us." Jaren looked at her, then at the chart. For a heartbeat, he hesitated. Then he trusted her. He pulled the ship into the spiral route. The patrol ship tried to follow, but the path was too narrow, too unpredictable. It struck a hidden cluster of rocks and shattered. Silence filled the cockpit once more. The stars stretched wide before them. Solari's hand shook as she set the drawing on the console. "It worked," she whispered. "My dream saved us." Jaren turned to her, his voice steady and proud. "No, Solari. You saved us." The freighter glided into the endless dark, carrying two fugitives bound by more than survival. Solari leaned against the window, watching the stars slip by. For the first time in her life, the future did not look like shadows. It looked like light, she whispered softly, a vow meant only for him. "From this day on, wherever you go, I will follow." Jaren placed a hand over hers, his gaze fixed on the stars ahead. "Then let's go together. To Earth. And beyond." And, as the ship disappeared into the spiral of stars, a new story began. Not of hunger and shadows, but of hope, truth, and a bond that would shake the galaxy itself.